Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Flatten the curve. The curve was flattened. Don't overwhelm our hospitals. They never were. So this is about other things. And it's hard not to notice that one of the things it's about is picking on churches. Well, I think this is a major problem for the government of Alberta. You know, the government of Alberta is having a tough time in the polls, and anyone can project their own reasoning on that, because anyone who criticizes the government can say, oh, they're falling in the polls because they're not doing what I think they should do. So the NDP says, well, they're not spending enough. They're being too mean to leftists. They're being too mean to the teachers union. They're being too light on the lockdowns. But I saw a statistic that only 62% of United Conservative Party members are happy with Jason Kenney. Normally, a leader's own party supports him, you know, 80, 90%. Trump would love to tweet that 97% of Republicans support him, or whatever the stat was. I think that when the latest poll shows that only 62% of UCP, United Conservative Party, members support Kenney, it's not because he's too right-wing. It's not because he's not spending enough. I think it's actually the opposite reason. I think it's because he is being too hard in his lockdown. I think people are appalled by the fact that Jason Kenney is limiting pastors. And I know he would say that he's limiting them less than others, but Alberta is supposed to be the freest province in Canada. Now, I just tweeted something. Can you go to my Twitter feed? I just tweeted an article from La Presse, which is a large newspaper. I think it's online only these days, in Montreal. And they just changed their lockdown rules too. They've opened the movie theaters up in Quebec now. And movie theaters can hold up to 250 people. I don't know how large the average movie theater is. Does it hold 500 people? I can't imagine most theaters would be much bigger than that. So 250 people, and there's a debate, well, can they sell popcorn or not, which is sort of funny, because of course that's how movie theaters make their money, is on the snacks and the drinks. But do you see that article I tweeted from the press? And I think I tweeted an English translation of it. Yeah, so this is in La Presse, and you can see it's in the Google Translate. You see that? It's from French to English. So this is a machine translation. Measures unfair to faith communities. Just scroll down a little bit and show that building there. So that's an enormous cathedral. That is enormous. Like, that's huge. That's just, I don't know which cathedral. Let me look at the caption there. Which cathedral is that? Despite the lightened health measures announced in certain sectors from February 26th, places of worship remain limited to 10 faithful, which causes discontent among religious leaders. Could you imagine a massive cathedral like that with, what's that, 50, 60-foot ceilings? 10 people in there. Echo, echo, echo. Yet a movie theater has 250. Hey, if they put a movie on in this church, would the government allow them to open? Scroll down, let's just read a little bit of this. From February 20, again, this is a machine translation. From February 26th, a cinema room will be able to accommodate 250 people, but place of worship remain limited to 10 faithful. Religious leaders protest against this, quote, discrimination. Yeah, it's totally not. We got to put it in scare quotes. The Archbishop of Quebec, Gérald Cyprien Lacroix, asked his flock to join their deputy in public health to complain. Yeah, I would think so. On Friday, Bishop Lacroix published a message in which he denounces the discrimination of double standards about cinemas and places of worship. Today is more difficult for me to express my solidarity with the decisions announced because they appear to me to be unreasonable and unfair towards the communities of faith, writes Monsignor Lacroix, who did not want to give any interviews. We cannot remain silent in the face of decisions taken by the authorities. If he wants to continue the dialogue with the government, Monsignor Lacroix invites his flock to express their point of view. Scroll down a little bit there. Yeah, so there's an imam there, Muslim imam, and obviously there's Jews in Quebec too, so this would apply to them. Look at that, look at the size of that. Imagine saying you can only have 10 people in that entire room. The lockdownists believe in that. But let's say you believe in something higher than lockdownism. Let's say you believe in a religion besides lockdownism. Let's say you have that belief, so you haven't fully succumbed to the superstitions of lockdownism. Let's say you actually enjoy going to church, learn something from it, and maybe feel something from it, religious, spiritual, emotional. Maybe you just like seeing other people in a non-work environment. People hopefully don't have their cell phones out, maybe singing along, praying along, listening to each other, getting a little encouraging words from the priest at the front. And only 10 of you are allowed, but if you go watch the latest Hollywood flick, 250 of you are allowed. You go to Costco and Walmart, they're unlimited for all intents and purposes, but only 10 of you in a church. Maybe that's discrimination. They put discrimination in scare quotes. You don't see that so obviously is discrimination. So people are starting to wise up that this is not about a virus. Maybe it never was. Maybe it was for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And we actually did flatten the curve. There has never been a hospital in Canada that, there's never been a province or even a single hospital that was overwhelmed by this virus. There just hasn't been. I haven't checked the Ontario stats in a few days, but last I checked, there's about 500 hospitals in Ontario. Last I checked, there were 200 and something patients in ICU in the whole province. So each pandemic ICU patient had 2 hospitals to himself. Flatten the curve was flattened. Don't overwhelm our hospitals. They never were. So this is about other things. And it's hard not to notice that one of the things it's about is picking on churches.
Oh, hi friends. What you just saw there is a clip from our Rebel News daily live stream show. It's fun, it's fast, and it's completely unscripted, so you never really know what you're going to get. Just go to rebelnews.com/livestream to sign up for special alerts.